This is my game. I have to defend it. That's right, folks. We're going to take a look at Home Alone for the Super Nintendo this time around. Now, this is a game that on YouTube you'll see there's a lot of negative connotations surrounding it. It's a movie-based game, so like a lot of them, people have a lot of ill feelings towards it. Movie-based games for so long, they've just been cheap cash grabs, but maybe this one's a little bit different. Maybe I don't agree with all the criticism. You're going to have to watch the review and find out for yourself. Hope you guys all enjoy this one. I must have seen Home Alone at least 50 times in my entire life. It is one of my favorite films of all time. It's got comedy, it's got charm, it's got a great story, and some great actors as well. So when I got this game as a kid for my Super Nintendo, I was ecstatic. I get to play a video game of one of my favorite movies at the time. And it definitely is a weird game. And here I am playing it at least 25 years later after receiving it. And I gotta tell you, I still don't think this game is really all that bad. I think it's got a reputation that's gotten a little bit warped over time. It's a really weird game with some odd, pretty basic game mechanics. But overall, I think that it's a pretty decent game that just gets a bad rap. The basic goal of this game is to go through 4 wings of this absurdly large house of Kevin McAllister, get all the valuables, drop them down the laundry chute into the basement, then grab the key once you collect all the items, and face the nightmare awaiting you in the basement. The 4 wings consist of jewelry, money, then there's another one, toys, which just looks downright freakish. I mean, look at these giant teddy bears and these giant toy soldiers. I mean, it's just alarming. Look how are they fitting all this stuff in the house? How does it all fit in there? And I don't remember, from the movie, it's like the house was big, but this thing is like huge, massive. I don't know how the hell you get all this stuff in here. Then you've got the electronics wing, where there's alarm clocks, there's Game Boys, and in the 4th wing, it's just bananas. There's birds flying everywhere, there's salamanders climbing up the walls, there's dogs, and what are like these animals doing inside these boxes and drawers? I mean, this is just unbelievable. These animals are just all over the place. I mean, how did all these animals get out of their cages? Why is there birds flying everywhere? And how did the salamanders get all over the walls? I mean, get out of control. Get this under control, Kevin. I mean, why are there so many pets? I get that they're rare, as you explained to us before the level, but then, I mean, this is totally bonkers. And Harry and Marv have definitely brought along a few friends this time around. I guess this is the entire Wet Bandits crew. And I kind of like the idea. Some people complain about this part of the game, saying like, oh, who are these guys? Well, it adds a bit of a new dimension to it. We've got some new members of the gang, and, well, they got Oddjob to come along from James Bond fame. They've also got this guy who throws baseballs. So I kind of like that they went the extra mile and tried to add some new thugs, and this guy just shows up most of the time. He's just like a generic thug. The crazy thing about this guy is he's totally casual in the first few levels, but then by the 4th level, he's chasing after you like a madman. He wants to get Kevin by any means possible, and he will track your movements. I mean, look at him here. And then there's this part, which occurs twice, that really creeps me out as a kid, where Marv is at the left side of the screen and he slowly creeps towards you, and you notice these switches on the wall where you gotta shoot them with your slingshot, and then a bunch of crap falls down from the ceiling. But the way how he walks towards you, like the way he's moving so slowly, the way how this room is just constructed, it's just really weird. There is just a very weird vibe about this game, and there's moments like this that really solidify that claim. Then there's the nightmare sections, where Kevin has to traverse the basement and defeat the boss. In the first level, there is no boss. In the second level, you get a giant spider. In the third, a big old ghost. And in the fourth, kind of disappointing, a rat. I mean, you get to see these rats in the first level. So I don't know why they're the boss in the final section of the game. That's the most common complaint. Some people say, why is Harry and Marv not the boss? Well, you see Harry and Marv throughout the whole entire game, so that would be a bit disappointing to see that at the end. But these bosses seem kind of lazy and thrown together. I mean, truthfully, the ghost looks really generic. The rat just, well, he looks like a rat. And the spider is not very well defined. It just looks kind of like a red blob, to be quite honest. And why is the spider a nightmare? Actually, it was Harry who was scared of spiders, not Kevin. So I don't understand why that's a nightmare. You just basically have to avoid them in the basement. Just jump over things and fight the boss, and then it's pretty much over. So these nightmares really aren't that nightmarish after all. You can only take 3 hits in this game. It is pretty easy to avoid the wet bandits. Most of the time you're going to be shooting them with your squirt gun, which just kind of hunches them over, and so you could jump over them. You also get baseballs, and you get your BB rifle, which you don't get to a lot later on, but it is pretty satisfying being able to shoot these guys. And I love the sound they make when they do eventually die. They make a bleh sound. It sounds like they're vomiting, which is really odd, but it has its silly charm to it, I suppose. I also really like the soundtrack. It's really energetic. I love that basement theme. It's really dark and foreboding. And there's a great rendition at the start of the classic John Williams composition. The controls are pretty well done. The only part that I ever have trouble with is going up these damn stairs. Ever since I was a kid, you have to push towards the stairs while pressing up at the same time, and it just doesn't work. But I did get up the stairs a lot sooner than I did when I was a kid, so I've gotten better over time. I would not say that this is a bad game at all. It's definitely odd. The mechanics are definitely a bit wacky, and they're really simplistic. I understand that a lot of people like the NES style of game, and there's also another game on Genesis that allows you to set traps, and you are able to do a few traps. You could jump at paint buckets and hopefully hit your mark, or these little banana peels here, but there's not much in the way of traps, so I can see why people might have that criticism. But overall, it's a pretty fun game, and it doesn't really last that long. It doesn't overstay its welcome. In fact, I would say it's really short. I wish it was a bit longer. There's 4 wings and you're pretty much done. Now, the rat is a bit of an anticlimactic ending, but I really enjoy this. And maybe it's because I love the movie so much, but the game is really not that bad. It's worth your time checking out if you're a Home Alone fan. If you're not a Home Alone fan, you're probably just going to view this sort of as a normal game, but perhaps I've got my nostalgic goggles on. But I enjoy it. It's fun. It's got a lot of charm. That pet level is totally insane and wacky. So I like that they had a bit fun with the concept, and they didn't just feel that they had to stay within the realm of the movie itself, where a lot of games fall into that little rut. So let's hear that great sound effect one last time. So overall, it's not really a bad game. It's kind of fun. It doesn't really take up too much of your time. The mechanics have a charm to them. It's zany, running around, jumping at birds, collecting VCRs and alarm clocks and such. It's an acquired taste, but there's nothing really that bad about it. You could argue and say it's monotonous, or that there's certain parts of the game that are annoying and that you might not like it for certain reasons, but I don't really think that the gameplay is overly flawed in any way. So, you know, and it doesn't take up too much of your time. Really, the most that the game could take you is maybe 45 minutes, and if you're like me and you've gotten good at the game, you can complete it in about 30 like I did for this playthrough. So, that's going to about do it for this review, guys. Subscribe, click the bell, check out my other videos, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.